Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. This is Chuck coming to you from Chuckadelphia, and listen to all those birds. I guess some people might call me a madruga, huh? Well, it's a little bit after 5 a.m., which means it's time to get to work. So let's go for a ride and have a little bit of a chit chat. Come along.
Hey, it's Enrico Palazzo!
So here I go again on the road. I guess that's White Snake. Sounds like White Snake, huh? Well, I'm starting off my morning routine right now. I just had to take a few of my meds, my vitamins, and got my water. So now I'm heading to the River Winds to lift some weights and do some swimming before I start a day of classes with some awesome students. I love working with all my students. You guys are all awesome. I really appreciate it. Every one of you guys, and the ones that I've worked with in the past. I know you guys have drifted off and done other things, and I'm proud of you no matter where you go. But this morning, I wanted to talk about something on my way to the gym, and I don't know, it is going to be kind of hard for me to talk about, but in some aspects, I feel more comfortable talking to an audience than I do in small groups. So in a way, you guys are kind of going to be like my therapists, or just like a form of like healing here. But I'm going to share something very intimate here, and I think that maybe some of you may relate to this. So we'll see how it goes. When I was younger, I would say probably maybe around the time that I started to become a teenager, I started to put on some weight. I was getting chunkier, and I was still active. I mean, I played a lot of sports when I was a kid. Played soccer, basketball, baseball. Did swimming during the summer. So I was always very active. One of the things that was kind of hard for me was that, there's this old joke I used to use when I was on stage. I used to say that it was always hard for me to feel comfortable around girls, and I used to say that I think that some of them used to be jealous because I was the first one in class to develop breasts, and that's something that not many people today know about me. But yeah, when I was younger, I developed excess tissue around my chest, and so I pretty much have what they call man boobs today. And I guess as I said, I was a swimmer, so I used to take off my shirt and have to go swimming and stuff. There were many times I used to go into the pool or lake or whatever wearing a shirt. But when I was on the swim team, I had to take your shirt off, and oh my God, it was really hard to walk around the pool like that. And then in between my 9th and 10th grade years of high school, that's sophomore and it's freshman and sophomore year of high school, my dad and I started lifting and doing a lot of cardio. We worked out a lot. It was a great time. And I lost about 75 pounds that summer. I don't know how many kilos that is. I'll put that into the video. But it was a great time. It was great hanging out with my dad, and just having that emotional support at the gym, and it was just fabulous, But along the way, no matter how hard I was working, nothing was changing what was going on with my man boobs, And so I played football in high school, in my ninth grade. That was a great time too. Unfortunately for you guys, I don't have any pictures of that because that was so long ago. It was before cameras were even invented. So I had a physical, a doctor's physical in 10th grade, and he said that, nothing was happening there, no matter what I was doing, and it looked like I was going to need surgery. And so, eventually, around the time of my 16th birthday, my sweet 16, which would have been my quinceañera if I had been in Ecuador at that time, but a year later, I had to have surgery, and it was removed, and it was back then it was pretty. It's different, I guess, compared to what they do now. I think like some of the things I've seen today, it seems like they can do that without creating scars. So, yeah, it hurt, but ever since then, I still see those scars on my chest, and I know other people, other people say they don't see them, and to me, it doesn't really matter if they do or not. I know they're there. And whenever I take off my shirt, I see them. But over time, as I got older, and no matter what I would do, like, I'd always been a person, I think, say it's like a YoYo dieter. I would always like lose weight and then put it back on. Lose weight and put it back on. And I suppose that maybe there's a little bit of a psychological reasoning behind that. I guess like it goes back to when I was that young kid in high school that like it seemed like no matter what I would do, no matter how much weight I would lose, I would probably never look perfect. I would never be Mr. Perfect. And that bugged me. I guess maybe there was some body shaming in that, but it really didn't come from as many other people as it did from myself. As I said before, many times we're going to be our own biggest critics. I guess every time I would start off on my road, no matter how many times I would try to lose weight, I would hit this psychological wall. And it was kind of like, if I didn't see the weight coming down, if I didn't see my body changing, I would ask myself, why even do this if there's, you're still going to have like a funny looking body and, going to feel uncomfortable doing things. And over time, it's, I guess we have these like stereotypes that we're supposed to live, these roles or whatever. You're supposed to be a tough guy and brush it off and just work hard and keep doing other things, take your mind off it. But I guess like maybe that's, you try to push this stuff down and hide it underneath the bed or in the closet, and it's inevitable that you just, I guess like when you start eating a lot and not wanting to do things, I guess that's all a lot of the result of doing that. And it took me until I was about 46 years old to start to realize there had to be something better to do. I had to change. Because that feeling uncomfortable in my body, I was mostly coming from me. I know every now and then there were times when I would go out, and I know there were like, insensitive people, like a bunch of jerks out there that would probably snicker at me or whatever. And that would lead to my feeling uncomfortable in going out in public. And it wasn't like I was angry. I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to hear it. I had a lot going on. And when you reach a certain size, when you're big, you know that you're big. And you just don't like hearing a lot of this stuff. You don't want to deal with it. And you couple that with as you gain weight, you start to feel uncomfortable in clothes. It's been a long time since I really felt good wearing clothes. And a lot, it was because of my body shape and my weight, and I always felt like, oh my God, if I do certain movements, the clothes will either move up on me and my butt will show, or maybe my pants will rip or something like that. And some of the worst parts were I didn't want to do things because I didn't want people to see that. And then there were times when I was invited to hang out with some people, and I didn't want to go because I was worried that, I wouldn't like fit on their furniture, or I would worry that, oh my God, like, what would happen if I, couldn't get up? What would happen if the furniture would break? It was really hard to deal with, really hard to live with. But then, when I started down this path with Dr. Fortino, I started to change, and I started to accept things for the way that they are. And I realized that I may never have a perfect body, but at the beginning that didn't matter, because at that point it all became more about how I felt, and how with each step that I was taking, it started to feel a lot better. The pain didn't go away at first. I mean, a lot of the shame, the body shaming, which I was creating on my own and not necessarily coming from other people, that still stayed there a little bit. But I had more physical pain that I wanted to overcome. At that point, it was like the knee pain, the hip pain, the pain that it felt to get out of bed. That stuff was driving me crazy. And it was like a lot of the things that I can't control were bringing me down, like a lot of my past, and a lot of sadness that was happening. I don't know if it was depression, but sadness because of the things that were happening in the world around me, because of things I couldn't change. That was getting to me. So yeah, I realized that a lot of that feeling of like not being good enough for people, not being good enough to fit in, and not feeling good enough to have any relationships with any girls that I really liked, that was on me. And with every step that I take, and every weight that I lift, every lap that I swim, I know that I'm feeling so much better. And I accept the fact that I'm not going to be perfect. There's only going to be one Mr. Perfect, and that was Kurt Hennig. Rest in peace, Kurt. And the further away I go from what I was in the past, I will never get rid of these scars. I will never feel 100% perfect on the outside, but the movements that I'm making now and the food that I'm eating now, I'm bursting at the seams. I feel great, and I wouldn't change this for the world. So I will carry all those scars from the past, but I'm not going to let them overwhelm me anymore. And I know where I am now, I'm never going back. And I'm just going to keep doing whatever I can to keep feeling better. And that's going to have an impact on the people around me, and the ideas that are coming into my mind, and the creativity that is developing within me. And for those of you that are struggling with some of these same issues, if you've always struggled with them, I guess we're in the same boat. And so yeah, let's pick each other up, and let's move forward. Let's get over this. Let's pick it up. So that's all for this morning. I got to stop recording because I'm running out of camera space, and I want to go get my lifting done before I start my day of classes with awesome students. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you guys, I hope you don't cry or anything like that. Don't feel bad for me, because I don't feel bad for myself. I feel awesome these days. It's the best I've ever felt, and that's why I know I'm never going back. So Carpe diem, my friends. Thank you for joining me today, and let's move forward together, full steam ahead. I'll see you on the flip side. Ciao, ciao.